So hello everyone. So today what we are going to see is our TIA Portal V15 software, that is which we interface with our PLC hardware to get different functions, to get different outputs and inputs, and using this controller, our PLC, for various applications. Now the software that through which we integrate is our TIA Portal V15 software version 15. So we will start with our software. Okay, so this is the page, first page that opens after opening the software. So once we get to this page, we will create a new project. So these are the initial steps that are needed to be done while creating a new project, and then different steps to interface our software with the hardware. So this is the second page that we get, is device and networks. That is, we need to configure a device, like which device do we want to add, like PLC or HMI. So when we click on configure a device, next page we get is this. So here what we need to add is our new device. So click on new, add new device. And after that we can see this page, that is three types of devices we can see, that is our controllers, HMI and PC systems. So the first thing we need to add is our controller, that is our PLC. So which type of PLC, which series PLC do we have, what is the CPU number and what is the article number. So accordingly we need to add our CPU. So for an example, I will take our Simatic S7 1200. The CPU we need to select. Next step, under CPU, so the type of CPU that you require, that is according to your specifications, you can select that. So we will select a CPU 1214C DC 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 DC. DC means our input, output and the source. So this is our CPU 1214C. Under that we need to select a article number which has a specific description. So when we select this article number, we can see the description on the right hand side, that is for this particular CPU and this article number, the work memory of that PLC is 100 KB, 24 works on 24 volt DC power supply with digital input 14 digital inputs in which works on 24 volt DC sync source, and digital outputs 10 works on 24 volt DC, and analog inputs 2 on board. So 6 high speed counters and 4 pulse outputs on board. Signal board expands on board input output. Up to 3 communication modules for serial communication. This type of CPU has serial communication, and we can add up to 3 communication modules to communicate with the PLC and various components. Up to 8 signal modules for IO expansions, that is up to 8 different modules, expanded modules we can add for input and output expansion. 0.04 ms per 1000 instructions, the speed. Profinet interface for programming HMI and PLC to PLC communication. This is the description for this particular CPU and this article number. So once we select the CPU and our article number, we will add this particular PLC to our software. That is, if we have a CPU of 1214C, then we will be adding that particular CPU so that we can interface it through Profinet. So after adding that device, we can see this page. The CPU that we had selected has been added on this page. That is our device view. We can see the CPU, and as I said, there are 8 modules that we can add, input output expansion modules we can add. And this particular PLC is our DC type. So we will start with the PLC. Once we click on the PLC and get to the properties of that PLCs, and inside the properties, this is our general instructions. That is your Profinet interface, your which type of interface is there, your Profinet interface. Then is your Ethernet address, that we require an IP address to set so that we interface it with our hardware. So we can set the IP address from this particular option, that is from your IP address. The IP address that we are using right now is 192.168.0.1, and the subnet mask is this. So from here we can set our Ethernet address. The next part we can see is our digital inputs. The number of digital inputs that we have is our 14 digital inputs and 10 digital outputs. The next part is our analogs, analog input and analog output. This is the high speed counters, the pulse generators, which we use. So the next part we will see is our input output tags, like how many tags and which number of tags are we using for interfacing it and using in the logic that we create. So we require a few inputs and outputs to be given in the logic while programming. So which inputs and outputs tagging we can use will be given in the properties of this particular CPU, and under properties are input output tags. So these are the tags that we will be using. So this is our analog, that is IW64 and IW66. These are the digital inputs, that is your I0.0, 0.1 up till 0.7, and then the next stage will start from I1.0 up to I1.5. And the next is our output, that is Q0.0 up to Q0.7 and Q1.0, Q1.1. So as I said, inputs are, we have 14 digital inputs and 10 digital outputs. So these are the taggings that we will be using while programming our ladder logic. So the next part we will move towards. So once we configure the device, once we we set the IP address. Once we set the IP address, we can then turn forward to the programming. That is our programming blocks. From programming blocks, you can program your application, your ladder logic. Then under programming blocks is our main OB. Under main OB, you can create your own logic according to the required application. So as you can see, this is the page on which we will be creating our logic. So these are few instructions which we will be using while creating a logic. That is our basic instructions we will be using. There are a few basic instructions which we will be looking towards in our bit logic operations. Now we will be using our NO, NC and coil to create one software, one logic. So I will add one NO. You can drag and drop on the rung. Then I will take one coil. There is one output. Double click on your NO type. That will be your input. So your input taggings, as we saw under the properties of that particular CPU, the input tagging will be I 0.0. The start will be from I 0.0 and the output tagging will be your Q 0.0. Logic. Now once we create any logic, we need to download this to our hardware. So for downloading, you can click this option that is download to the device, so that your panel can work and you will get the desired output. So once we download this to the device, then after clicking on that option, we can see this page. So on this page, from here we will be selecting the option show devices with the same address. That is, we have set our hardware PLC at the same address, that is our 192.168.0.1, and the address we have given in this PLC software properties is the same. So we have to search the device with the same address. So we will click on that option, and giving tags input and output tag to the logic. Now we can just download this to our PLC, and clicking on this option we will get to our PLC. And after clicking the download to device option, we need to select show devices with the same address. That is, the devices your PC and your hardware should interface, so your address must be same. So after clicking on start search, you will be able to see the device with same address, and then click on load. After clicking on load, continue without synchronization, and then again click on load. Now as we can see, so this option, that is your monitoring on off, through this we can see whether our CPU and our hardware PLC has been connected or not. So when we see all these green lights, which means it has completely interfaced, and now we can create our logic and use for the applications. Now as we can see, if I press my input 1 what I will get is my output. So if I leave this input, I will not get any output. So through this application of creating various logics, we can use it in our pneumatics, hydraulics, for example. And these are the types basically which are used. Timer operation, that is if we add our T on timer, that is if we want any particular operation after pressing my start button, my operation should function after a particular time, that is after 5 seconds or 10 seconds, it should give output. Then we can use our T on timer. So when we drag our T on timer to the main run, we will get this call options, that is our data block for timer. And when we click on OK, our timer will be T on will be generated over here. Then these are the set points, that is PT is our preset time, that is the time which we have set that it should work for 5 seconds, that after my 5 seconds gets completed, I should get an output. So when I click on PT, so the timer that I will be giving is so the tagging to the timer is your T hash 5 is, that is your time for 5 seconds. And then ET is the current value, it will tell you what exactly the current value is, like the run time, it will show the run time. And again I will download this to our PLC. Everything is in green, so it's in working condition. And when I press my input 1, that is my tag 1, when this becomes high, when my push button gets pressed, so what will happen is my timer will get some input. So when it gets input, it will start counting. So after 5 seconds, after my timer reaches the preset time, that is the time we have set, it will give the output. And this is the functioning of our T on timer. As we give our timer the power supply, after 5 seconds it will give the output. So let's look on to our T off timer. So what will happen in our T off timer? So I will again download this. So in T off timer, we can see as I give my input, I will get continuous output. But as I leave the button, the timer will start counting after I leave the button. So for T off timer, we need a trigger to operate T off timer. That is, a single pulse is required for T off timer to operate. So when we press, input is there, but timer does not run. But when we complete a single pulse, that is a negative pulse, when we complete, as soon as we cut off the supply, a single pulse gets completed and the timer starts, and after timer reaches the preset value, the output offs. In T on timer, what used to happen is after the time reaches our preset time, we used to get output. But in T off timer, we get output previously as soon as we give a single trigger to this T off timer, and when it reaches the preset time, the output will off. This is the trigger, and that is continuous output. When it reaches the preset time, the output will off. This is the function of our t off timer. We will go offline. Next operation we will see is our counter up, that is using our counters. So this is the data block for counter. That is if any operation, if we want our piston to move, that is a cylinder to move in forward direction, when I give a counting of 5, that is if I press my push button for 5 times, after I press it for 5 times, then only my cylinder should move. So in that case we can use counters. So there are these different ports, that is your preset value. This port is for your reset. CV is your current value. So preset value, you need to give the count, that how many times it should count, and then after counting that we will get an output. So I will give a count of 5, and through which I want to reset my counter. So after it reaches 5, we also need to reset our counter so that it comes back to the initial position, that is your 0. So to reset your counter, we will give one different output, that is your 10.1. The next input, this is your 10.0, this is your 10.1. Reset value is your 5, that is your counting. So CU, that is your count up, that is it counts from 0 to upwards. And this is the output rung. Here you will get an output after my counter operates for 5 times. So we will download this to device. Load. Monitoring on. So now what we can see is when I press my input 10.0, my push button or any other button through which we will be giving our current supply. So when I press my input 1, it counts 1. When I press it for the second time, it will count 2. When I press it for the third time, it will count 3. Fourth time 4, fifth time it will give an output, that is our preset value and the counter value matches. So when the preset value and the counter value match, we will get a desired output, and as this will stay in this position, that is we will get a continuous output as these two values matches. So in order to reset this value, we have given our 10.1, that is if you want to off this output, we will use our 10.1 and reset this counter back to 0. So this is the function of our up counter. Next one we will see is our down counter. The same thing. The only thing difference in the up counter and down counter is that the down counter counts downwards and the up counter counts upwards. So the preset value is your 5. LD is your again your reset. To reset the counter, I will be giving tag of I 10.1. Now as we can see, we are getting a continuous output. So we need to first reset, that is it will just start from 5 as it is a downward count, so it will count from 5 till 0. So as we give our inputs, this will get decreasing. So as our count reaches 0, we will get our output. And again pressing this reset option, we can reset the counter. So this is the preset value. As we give supply, our counting reduces, and as it reaches to 0, we will get an output. This is the function of our down counter. What we will do is we will see a single operation of one application of pneumatics that is using our double acting cylinder and direction control valve, which we will control it through our PLC, that is the panel, the hardware PLC, and through the software we can write different logics and operate our pneumatic system. So now we will look forward to one application using our pneumatic system, that is using our PLC, how we can operate a pneumatic system. We will be seeing one short example using our direction control valve and double acting cylinder. So now in the software, I have given input and output, that which means if I press a push button, I will get a desired output, and this output will be collected to my solenoid, and my solenoid will help operate the cylinder. So we will see the operation and also the panel of our PLC. So this is the panel of PLC. The PLC is connected through Profinet to our PC system, and there are digital inputs, digital outputs on the PLC panel, analog inputs and analog outputs. So there is a continuous 24 volt and ground supply given. So if so internally, as I have programmed that if my digital input, that is I 10.0, if my 10.0 push button operates, I should get a desired output. So what I will be doing is, we can see our pneumatic system, the solenoid valve, that is our direction control valve, is connected to the pneumatic cylinder, that is our double acting cylinder. So this wire, that is our wire of operating the direction control valve, has two wires, that is your 24 volts and ground. So as we have given the tagging inside the software, that if my digital input 0 operates, that is if I press this push button, I should get digital output 4.0, that is this output. So what I will do is, I will connect the solenoid to the digital output and the ground wire to the ground. So as we can see, I will download I will download the software to our hardware. Once this gets downloaded, we will go on monitoring, and as we can see, so the panel, if I press my digital input 10.0, I will get a digital output that is your 4.0 as we have programmed it in our software. So also on the PLC you can see, if I press a digital input, I will get output that is your yellow light of output will get on. So this is the digital input line, this is the digital output line. So as we can see, if my 0 gets on, my output will get on at the same time. That is, you can see on the panel. So when I press my input 10.0, I will get an output, and through this output I will be operating my solenoid, and through solenoid my cylinder will operate. So if I apply pressure, that is give air supply, what will happen is my cylinder will operate using our PLC. So we can see that when I press my digital input, my output, I will get an output, and this output will be connected to the solenoid. Solenoid will operate the cylinder. This is the functioning of using your PLC to operate a pneumatic system. This is one of the examples. So next what we can do is we can add a timer operation to operate our double acting cylinder. So we will add a preset time that is for suppose 5 seconds. So here the time will be in milliseconds, so you need to set it in seconds. So the time we have set in milliseconds, we will download this to the hardware. As we load this software, what will happen is my cylinder, as I give my input, my cylinder will operate only after the time gets completed. So we will see the operation. We will see the operation of our timer. As I press my digital input, my time will start running, and when my timer reaches the set time, I will get an output. You can see the output and also the cylinder. It will operate after 5 seconds. That is, after your timer reaches your preset value, the cylinder, that is your output, will. Now we will be using our counter to see the operation. We will take one up counter, give a preset value of 5, and to reset the counter we will be giving I 10.1 to reset the counter. So we will be downloading this again, and we will look to the functioning, how exactly it will operate in a pneumatic system, in an application of pneumatic system. Now we can see it is at 0, it will operate. Now we can see the counter operation. That is, when I press my input 1, my counter will count to 1. When I press input 2, the same input, my counter will count 2. As I press the third time, it will count 3, fourth, and when I count it for the fifth time, it will match the preset value and our cylinder will operate, and that is we will get an output. So this is the functioning of our counter. So now as we have given a tagging to reset our counter, that is the input we used to give is our 10 0.0. Now the reset input is our 10 10.1 I 10.1. So as we press our I 10.1, our counter will reset back to 0. So as I press this for 5 times, the fifth time my cylinder will operate. So this is the functioning of our counter. These are the few basic and important functions used by industries. So we will go offline. Now the next function, one function we will see is using our comparator. That is, we can use our comparator if we want some middle range output. That is, if we want to use our comparator for counter. That is, if this counter, we will take the tagging of that counter, we will get the option from here, the CV value, that is your current value. If your CV is your current value, the times you press that value will be shown, will be given to the CV. So the current value, when it reaches to 3, if while operating this counter, when it reaches to 3, this operation will perform. That is, this will get connected and you will get one output. You can use your comparator to compare functions. If I want to on another output at count of 3, so you need not take another counter. That is, if you want your counter output 4.1 to operate at the counting of 3, so you need not take another counter. You can use the same counter, the tagging, and use the comparator. That is, if it reaches at the count of 3, my output, second output, should operate. We will download this and look at the comparator operation. And monitoring on. Now we will see the operation, how exactly it performs. This will be your CV, that is, this value, the current value will be get stored in your CV, and the tag of CV we will be giving it to the comparator, and the comparator will be showing us the output as it reaches the count of 3. So as I press it for the first time, it will count 1, 2. As I press 3, the comparator is your greater than or equal to that, which means if this is my preset value for this comparator, if it reaches, my counter reaches at 3 or greater than that, my output should operate. That is, you will get an output. So even if it gets greater than that, your output 4.1 will get operated. But over here the preset value is 5, so this output will get operated only when the preset value reaches the counter value reaches the preset value. So this is your 5 and you will get an output. This is your reset. As you press 10.1, your counter will get reset. This is the functioning of your comparator. Okay, so the next part that we will be looking is our analog. Now we saw the functioning of our digital inputs and outputs. Now we will be looking towards our analog inputs and outputs. So for analog inputs and outputs, the tagging that we will be using, we'll look it into our device configuration properties, the IO tags. These are our digital inputs and outputs. So IW0 and IW2, IW4, IW6 and IW8, these are the analog inputs. QW0 and QW2 will be our analog output. So the first tagging that we will be using is IW0 and QW0. So inside the main block. So where exactly to use this analog? So we need some type of conversion operators, that is to convert these values, that is the analog which will be in integer value, that we will be converting it to the real value. So for this, from general, we will be taking one empty box and click on the question mark and write normx is normx. We'll select integer, what type we want our value to be converted from and to, that is from integer to real, the minimum value of integer. So the value that we will be giving, that we will be varying, analog means the value which we can vary, is our IW0, the tag we had given, IW0. So this is our integer. So this is a 16-bit integer which ranges, the integer range which is from 0 to 32,006 and 6. This will be our maximum value. The output which we will be storing in real, that will be our MD, which will be our memory bit, double memory. Again one more empty box. Convert this memory to our output. X will be the function. The value here we will be giving the value of our output. That is our MD0. The value we want to change it from, that is from real we want our value to be real. Minimum value, this is for ranging in which scale do we want. Now here the integer range is from 0 to 32,000, but if we want our scale, that is if we have a tank of 10 liters, So if we want it to range from 0 to 10, if we want our value from in between these ranges, then we will give this tag at the input, and the output we will save it in another memory double bit, that is MD4. As this is a 32-bit size, the word size is 32-bit, so that is our 4 bytes. So the double memory word size is from 0 to 3. Then the next memory we will be using is MD4. So this is the ranging, and this is used basically for our analog, to convert analog to real. That is, if we want any value to operate in any type of the scale range, we will be using these two functions. And if we want our cylinder to operate using these operations, we can use our comparator again. That is, using our comparator, if we could take, we will give a tag, that is, if suppose my value of IW, that is this integer range, is 20,000. That is in between this. If I vary IW using your potentiometer or a meter, if we vary the analog value, when it reaches to 20,000, it will give one output. We can also use output, that is our comparator. Or we can use a comparator also for analog. We saw digital, we also can use it for analog. So this will be our potentiometer, which we can vary. Then it will range in between this integer value, and then we will get some output, and the real scale, that is the tank scale or whatever scale we want it to be converted to, we will give the minimum and maximum range, give the tagging of the output of our Normex to the value, and then output we will get, be generated over here. So now we will see the functioning of this. Download this to the device. As we go online, as we can see the fluctuation as we have connected our analog. When we vary our analog, we can see the increasing number, and this integer number will get converted to a real number, and this real number is the tagging we have given here, that is, which will range from 0 to 10, and from 0 to 10 we will see the output. That is, if this real value is our 0.1, the output from ScaleX we will get is 1.1. that is our 10 is our max value, so it will get multiplied by this, and ranging from this we will get an output. So accordingly, as we increase the integer range, as we can see, as we have given this tagging of 20,000, that is, if my IW reaches 20,000, we should get an output, that is our Q4.1 should glow. Now it has reached to 10,000. As I increase the value, 15,000, as it goes above 20,000, we will get our output using this comparator. If we lower the value, the output will get off. Now this will get, as we increase it, our value increases, and this gets converted to real value according to our scale. So this is our 0.78, it will become 7.8 according to the minimum and maximum range. So this is the function of normx and scalex for analog, giving our analog input and ranging it according to the bit size and getting the outputs. And we can use these analogs for different sensors, or thermal sensor, or various LVDT sensors, to calculate varying measures.